Alright guys, how's it going? Alright, so what I'm going to be talking about today is actually my own personal journey. A lot of you guys have been asking me about this, and I think it's time for me to actually talk about my past. Alright, so with that being said, I'm going to get into this.
Yeah, I confess, Father, I confess, 'cause I've been living wrong.
Alright, so when I was a lot younger, my dad and my brother were both really fucking charismatic. They were amazing with girls too. Talking about how when he was my age, he was, piling the girls on and whatnot. On the other side of things, I was shy and timid. I didn't really have too many friends. Like, as I got older too, I ended up having no friends. No girls were really interested in me. I was not the, sex-worthy guy that any girl would dream of having. To add insult to injury, I was also a little bit overweight. I had acne that was pretty bad and ended up causing scarring for a few years after it went away, and long greasy hair that covered my eyes that I would use to kind of, socially shield myself. I hated the way I looked so much that I would avoid mirrors in my house. I would turn them around if I got the chance, or I'd hide them if they were immediately in my way, like if I ran by them a lot. It came to the point where I was so dejected and depressed that something had to change. Something had to give way, and I was done with it. I knew that if I didn't fix this, somewhere down the line, I was going to end it. I couldn't stand being in this dark reality too much longer, and I had to fix it. And so I thought to myself, what do I need to do? So obviously, my brother and my dad, they're both like great with women. They seem to be having awesome lives. So I need to get good with women. I need to learn how to make friends. I need to learn how to be charismatic. Now, I started researching getting women, firstly. I figured that somebody had to know something about this. Somebody had to have some kind of rules, or maybe there was some kind of, some scientific studies on this that I could use to figure an angle out on this. And I ended up running into one of the first pickup guys I ever seen. And as it turned out, the guy ended up being fake, and it kind of led me down a bad road for a quick second. But once he was kind of revealed, I started looking for other stuff. I ended up running into the game, the book. Now, even then, after reading the book for a year later, I still assumed that pickup must be fake. That there's no way that this actually works. It just sounds too woo-woo. I've never heard of anybody in broad stream, talk about this. So I assumed it must be fake. However, I was so depressed, and I knew that if this only helped me out 5%, that 5% would be 5% less dark and less of a depressing future, which was immense for me. So no matter what, I knew that I at least had to delve into this. Even though I figured it was fake, I was like, well, fuck, I don't have any other choice. My first maybe 6 months in this shit, I would go out maybe one day a week, and then I'd spend the next 6 days overthinking that interaction and being pissed off that it went so terribly. And then eventually I ran into some girl in my workplace, and she was into me for whatever reason, and then we had sex and broke my virginity at the age of 19, thank God. From here, the rest of the year, I didn't get any girls. No girls were interested in me. I was just too weird. But the next year, I started going even harder. I ended up getting my first friends in this field in pickup, who to this day are my best friends. They are the guys that truly love me, been there for me no matter what. Now with these guys, these pickup artists, that reinforcing my frame, I started going even harder. I started going out every day, approaching with them, and when I'd see them approach, I'd be like, okay, it's okay for me to approach. I kept going. I kept coming up strategies to get myself away from approach anxiety and keep hitting it. And eventually, I ended up getting my first girlfriend. She was gorgeous. She was a great person on the inside and out. And eventually, we ended up becoming exclusive. For this next part of my journey, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of context. So when I was a lot younger, my dad, as you guys know, he was great with girls. He told me that when I hit high school, I would hit a growth spurt, I'd be great at basketball or football or whatever, and girls would start noticing me and start hitting on me and whatnot, then I'd become a social outgoing guy. Now, I heard this and I'm like, oh fuck, alright, I better start hitting this shit hard. So I started practicing basketball 3 to 9 hours every day, but I practiced so stupidly. All I did was the exact same drills every single day, never switched shit up, and I never got good. So that's when I tell you guys quality and quantity practice, you need quality of practice. You need to actually think about this shit. Obviously, I never got good at basketball. I never got good with girls in high school. I went through my entire high school career being a geeky, writer kid. I felt that I had failed my dad, and I had to master something. I had to get good at something to prove to myself, to prove to my family that I was worth a damn. And now, with that being said, I felt that if I didn't pursue this route, that my life would go nowhere. If I didn't continue on my pickup journey, I would end up just as depressed as I was before. So I made the immature decision to, instead of breaking up with my girlfriend, sabotaging to the point where she broke up with me. Now, after 2 days, I started regretting this decision very heavily, and I called her, and to my chagrin, found that she was already, seeing other guys and whatnot after 2 days. I became super depressed. Now, my naturally emotional self was very crushed, but with the damage done, I figured that I'd use the increased depression to help fuel my journey into pickup. I started going out every day. I started hitting it hard. It took me like a full month to actually get a girl into me, even despite going out every day, because I was just so depressed. No girls like talking to depressed guys. But then after that month, I just kept going out. Eventually I started building momentum, and I started studying, and I started writing down field reports, and I wrote down stories of Love Hitchhiker, which if you guys look this up, a lot of them are gone now, but there's still a few online. It's my old pickup series from when I was out there gaming during this period of time. And they started getting pretty popular. So it started adding to my ego and whatnot. At this point, I started sleeping in my car. I'd sleep in my car like outside of colleges, and I'd wake up early in the morning, and I'd go to college, start approaching girls. Then I'd, eventually go home to clean up and wash and whatnot, and go do it again, or go to work. And then immediately after work, go do this, which, completely killed my work life. It's not the greatest thing in the world when, your employees come through super exhausted from doing something like this. Like, I'd go out all night, pull girls and stuff. And I ended up going to get to the point where I was pulling like 4 to 5 girls a week, which was pretty disgusting, to be honest, like looking back on it, but that's what I was doing. I was just angry, depressed kid looking for any way out. Now, by this point, like, a lot of people started following me. My friends started kind of spreading the word about me to other pickup artists. My dark ego ended up getting even worse, along with the depression, this like false confidence that was starting to build up. Led me to start treating girls more like objects than people, and like more like, rubrics, cubes to figure out. This ended up getting me in a lot of trouble, and it almost ended my career right there and then. So one night, I'm out approaching my friends, as I'm doing like every night. We go out, we're approaching girls and whatnot, and I see this girl on the ground crying. Now this girl tells me this story about how the guy that she was like, apparently one of her friends, or this guy that had a crush on her, was constantly chasing her, and she was getting validation from it, but now he got a girlfriend, and now she feels ugly now because now this guy has a girlfriend, which, nowadays would be a red flag. You'd be like, oh, this is a crazy bitch. Don't fuck the crazy bitch. I was being idiotic, and I didn't care. I was just angry and whatnot, and I just wanted to, make myself feel good for me, like, 5-10 minutes. I end up taking this girl to go eat, and she gives me a BJ behind the bush. Every time so often somebody would walk by, she'd, pretend like we weren't doing it. We just like, go back to like, pretend like we were talking and whatnot. Then as soon as somebody passed by, she'd go back to doing that. Then afterwards, she asked me, hey, would you ever want to hang out again? And I said, fuck no. Because I was a huge shithead, and I didn't think of anything of consequences. She gets mad at me. She stomps her way around the bush, walks off. I sit down for a second, and I kind of giggle to myself, thinking that I'm clever, and I'm like this cool guy for rejecting this girl. Fast forward a month later, I find my face on the news, like a grainy, like faraway photo of me, asking the public to find me for my arrest. Now, as it turns out, this was during the beginning of the big SJW movement, or the social justice warrior movement, where like guys were, talked about it being the rape culture and whatnot. And I was prime target number 1 in my city. Yeah, long story short, I quickly turned myself in, thinking that there's no way this is going to go anywhere. They interrogated me pretty heavily, which made me kind of like realize how fucking terrifying the situation was. And they put me into solitary confinement because I've never, had like any, records or anything like that. So I went to solitary confinement for 3 days. To which point I was like, fuck. I better figure out my court case. Nobody's gonna come here to save me. I need to figure this shit out on my own. So I was writing on the back of newspapers, like my court case, I was gonna figure it out. And this entire time, I'm just like, fuck, if this happens, I'm gonna be in here for at least 10 years. If I get convicted of this, I'll be in here for 10 years. My life purpose is gonna be fucking shit. By the time I get out of here, I'll have no friends, nobody will remember me, my family will stop talking to me, I'll have nobody, and I'll have a record. So I'm like, okay, this might take me a little bit to work my way up, but if it comes down to where I get found guilty, I have to find the courage to kill myself. So I was like, fuck. So, because I knew if this happened, my life would not, and like the rest of my life would not be worth living. So I was like, fuck, I better figure this out. This is life or death. So I get to the court case, and I'm chained to all these guys, and I come in, I'm not expecting to see maybe my mom and my, maybe a friend or two. I get into the courthouse, and the courthouse is filled with my friends and family. My brother traveled to come see me. My family pulled together fucking like 5-10 grand to get me the best lawyer they possibly could. Everybody was in the crowd fucking crying. It was at this moment that I realized that people actually did give a fuck about me. It was at this moment that I realized that, that I'm worth a damn, and that I had like real friends, and that people actually cared about me as a person. I wasn't just like, just useful for my utility. So it was a big thing for me to like kind of learn for myself. And lo and behold, I was instantly released. I was quickly released. Like, there was no evidence against me. My friends saw me making out with her early night. Everybody saw us all making out. So I was let off. At this point, I took some time to confront my dark alter ego and fix this kick dog that ultimately just wanted to burn the world. I changed the way I gamed and the way that I treated people. I started actually like focusing on caring for people instead of using them as like maybe objects. And surprisingly, this actually made me way better at game. The weekend I got arrested and I got put in jail was actually the weekend I was supposed to go to Las Vegas to go work for RSD and have my week-long trial period, see if they liked me and if I'd work out. So I called them up again. I told them what happened, and they asked me if there was going to be an issue with this. And I told them no, the case is completely dropped. Go to Las Vegas. And I started working for them. The first week I got a few students laid. I did pretty good myself in field, and they took me on. Okay, so at this point I was working for RSD, and the majority of my work was free. The only thing I ever got paid on was boot camps. And so to make ends meet, I tried to hold a sales job for a quick second, but I was so obsessed with game I couldn't focus on it. And then I ended up working at a car wash that was paying me almost damn near nothing, but enough for me to feed myself. After maybe a year, I got offered to go to LA to work with Julian, and I was like, fuck yes, I want to go work with Julian. But however, I was broke and poor. How the fuck am I going to go to LA, survive for a week, paying for my lodging, paying for my food? It was going to be really fucking difficult. I was trying to figure out how to do it, and thank God I had a good enough friend who was willing to help me pay my way to LA and help me work with Julian. If that didn't happen, I don't know where I'd be right now. All right, now, working with Julian, I was only with him for a week. However, it was the best mentorship I could have ever had. I learned so much in that week that made me so fucking good and completely changed the way that I interacted with people. When I went back to Las Vegas, I worked it out for a while. I wrote down a lot of notes, and I tried to break down everything that me and Julian did and try to figure out how I can tweak my own game to get even fucking better. Now, at this point, I just started dating a girl. The girl, it was a very turbulent relationship, which I feel like relationships a lot of times kind of mirror wherever you're at currently, and my life was very turbulent. And she was kind of drawn to like the adventurous side, I guess, of it. However, I was really broke, and she walked in on me crying over maybe not being able to pay rent and me possibly going homeless. And she saw this, and a week later she ended up cheating on me with a much richer guy, which, really made me very depressed at the time, but whatever. Things happen. At this point, I ended up leaving RSD. And after the breakup, after leaving RSD, I was extremely depressed. So my friend that I was teaching game to for a year, he tells me, hey man, let's just go have some fun. We're gonna go out in the middle of the desert, we're gonna do a bunch of party drugs, and we're just gonna hang out and have fun. Well, in my emotional state, I end up way overdoing it, and I overdosed. So I overdosed, and now for me, I'm deathly afraid of cops because of my past experiences, and I was unwilling to, even when I felt like something was wrong in my body, to, call 911. And I remember I was losing vision, I couldn't move my stomach, I was seizuring. I remember looking up the sky and staring at the sun and thinking, oh my God, my family is going to find out why I died, and they're gonna blame themselves for this. And I thought, oh fuck, I fucked up. Now, luckily, I passed out for a while, and I got back to my friend's place, and I started normalizing and whatnot, and my chest hurt a lot. I remember I was vomiting. Anyways, long story short, I survived. And I realized, truly, that one day I was going to die. And I was not gonna die a fucking pussy. I was gonna make my friends and my family proud of me. So at this point, I decided I'm gonna go full back in. I'm gonna do my YouTube channel. I'm gonna fucking knock this shit out. So I used my connections through coaching with RC to link up with a bunch of my successful old students, and they all gave me advice and whatnot on how to do this. And then I used my knowledge of how to master game, how to master pickup, how to master women, and I switched it to mastering a new platform, which is YouTube. I was like, all right, we're gonna figure out how to do personal branding, and I'm gonna fucking knock this shit out. I spent hours every day perfecting my new medium, and here we are today. Okay, so that's my story up to this point. I hope this can help a lot of you guys kind of struggling with your own lives currently, maybe really deep depression. I totally understand that. And here, I want to tell you guys this. Getting into a better life situation it just takes time, okay? If you're in a bad place currently, don't freak out, okay? Things pass. Focus on where you want your life to go. Where focus goes, energy flows. Ultimately, your RAS will start picking up on all these little subtleties and will start noticing shit. So when you're like, I want my life to be like that, you're gonna notice when pieces of that life come into it. I want you to use the pickup skills that you learned through me, through Julian, through RSD, through all the other coaches to attack what you want. When you see the opportunity, you attack it. This is a really long-winded one. It's a very emotional subject for me, so please be kind. If you guys don't like the video too, tell me. I'll never do a video like this again if that comes down to it. And if you guys want to make any other videos, let me know. Leave a comment down below. And with that being said, peace out.
Before you leave, I want 999 more Hail Marys right now.
There's no chance in hell that I'll make it to heaven. The deadliest sins I committed, all 7. Gluttony, lust, envy, and greed. I done them all.
Before getting 3.
I was gonna get to them. You just helped demonstrate how impossible repentance would be. I don't think that I'm worthy of forgiveness. I think that I'm already sentenced. How is it that I commit all the sins that I do and see no consequences? Father, forgive me for asking this. How can I ever go back from this? It's not like the shit I was doing was simply a fluke or an accident.